So what has inspired my work for justice? I would say growing up reading the teachings of Jesus. And Jesus talked about the poor being exalted, and he talked about the least of these serving, being a service to the least of these. He asked, "Who is my neighbor?" And he answered with the story of the Good Samaritan about aiding people in distress. And loving your neighbor as yourself is number one, I think. And so who is my neighbor? It's the person who is dispossessed. So I would say that's what's prompted my interest in justice, which began in high school, and then in college really began to take root. So how did I become involved with CRLN? Well, many people know that I was a mission worker in El Salvador for 3 years doing human rights work under the auspices of the Presbyterian Church USA. And I was based in the Archdiocese of San Salvador in the Archbishop's office. When I came home from that 3 years of experience, I began to look for how I could become engaged. And I was carrying a story with me. And actually it was a commissioning from refugees at the Archdiocese refugee camp of displaced persons. There were hundreds of people that were being housed in the soccer field of the Archdiocese seminary. And I visited among the refugees, and they said, it's really nice that you're here. We appreciate your presence because international presence deters the military and police from coming in and removing us and doing horrible things to us. But they said, what's really important is for you to go back and to tell your president not to send the bombs that are destroying our villages and the bullets that are killing our families. And I became a part-time staff person with the Sanctuary Alliance along with Paula Beidel and Martha Pierce. From there, CRLN was formed in conjunction with CISPAS, the Committee in Solidarity with the People of El Salvador. That's how it began, and I became involved with CRLN, becoming its first staff person after about 4 years. And that's because CRLN started as a collaboration it was a partnership really among several organizations. The Sanctuary Alliance, CISPAS, and then Neighbor to Neighbor joined in, and OSCWA, the Organization on Guatemala, joined in, and finally Cuba, the Chicago-Cuba Coalition. So it was an organizational partnership from the very beginning. And then I became the director as those organizations, each organization had donated staff. So that's how I was asked if I would serve as director. We built up some membership support, so we had some funding. And again, starting on a shoestring, that's how CRLN came into being. Some of the ways we made a difference was our very first public event was inviting the Lutheran Bishop of El Salvador to Chicago. And he was our first luncheon speaker. But only days before he was to arrive and speak, 6 Jesuit priests and 2 of their women co-workers were killed in El Salvador. And Lutheran Bishop Medardo Gomez, who was to be our speaker, was on the list of targets. So he was escorted out of the country under, I believe, UN protection, United Nations protection. And so here we had our first event, and we didn't know if we would have our speaker. And the Lutheran offices, the National Lutheran offices, had just moved to Chicago, and so Raquel Rodriguez, the director, located Bishop Gomez and asked him to come and made sure that he would be here. So that put CRLN on the map. No one had heard of CRLN. So that's one example. Another, the Guatemalan Bishop Quesada had been working to promote a peace plan in Guatemala, and at the suggestion of one of our partners, OSCWA, um, we invited him along with Oscar to come to Chicago, and Bishop Quesada came. He said, however, I need to meet with the Cardinal while I'm there, Cardinal Bernardine. And at the luncheon, which is one of our second or third luncheons, Quesada was very upbeat and hopeful about the peace plan and really encouraged everyone in the luncheon to do everything they could to support this peace plan. But when he met with Cardinal Bernardine, he said he was much more sullen and said to the Cardinal, he said, you know, I am a pastor, but as a pastor I'm not able to protect my flock from massacres. They said they are killing them. And he invited the Cardinal to come with a delegation of bishops to Guatemala, which the Cardinal subsequently organized. So that made a difference.
What have you seen in CRLN that gives you hope?
Well, first of all is the members. We have participants, many who have personal experience in Latin America, either as a sister congregation, have visited with human rights organizations, have had refugees in their midst, and that experience is all joined together in CRLN and makes informed participants. So CRLN membership is able to respond at critical moments when they're needed. And I would say another thing that gives me hope is to see the leadership has evolved and developed over the years in CRLN. Chicago Religious Leadership Network was founded as a partnership organization with CISPAS, OSCWA, Chicago Cuba Coalition, and that has been a vision of CRLN since the very beginning, to operate not alone on its own, but in partnership. CRLN continues to have this vision of bringing human rights, economic justice, and environmental protection in our hemisphere, not only to our members, but in collaboration with our partners, to public policy makers.